Before we begin today's episode, a content warning. This conversation includes a discussion of rape and sexual assault. Listener discretion is strongly advised. If you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE, that's 1-800-656-4673, or visit rainn.org for 24/7 confidential help.
Previously on Chat 62.
So way back when I joined, I was like, hey man, I don't want to see a ship. Like, if you're going to send me to the Navy, I'm joining. I'm gung ho. Let's go. I'm not going to a ship. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. So I never did. I never saw a ship. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I saw a ship one time.
You did?
I flew 25,000 feet above my sister on a ship.
Really?
Yeah.
How fucking cool. Before we dive in, make sure to stay connected by following us on Instagram at Chat62Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, we really appreciate a 5-star rating and a follow on your favorite platform. Got questions, stories to share, or want to be a guest? We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to Erik Monarca at Chat62Podcast.com, Martin Almanza, Ruth Monarca at Ruth@Chat62Podcast.com. Where were you stationed after you were done with school?
I went to Whidbey Island, Washington, up in Oak Harbor, just outside of Oak Harbor, or like in Oak Harbor, I guess. I don't know. Whidbey Island, it's this tiny little island in the Puget Sound.
I had a buddy that was out there in Washington. He was
Bremerton.
Bremerton. Yeah, that's where he was at.
Or a lot of people go to the Joint Base down there, Fort Lewis McChord.
And how was your time over there at your first duty station?
So things get pretty dark once I get there. So
how so?
Before I got there, I went to SEER school, and then
you went to SEER school?
Yeah, I did.
Oh wow, look at you.
Yeah, because like you never know if your plane's gonna go down overseas. So they're like, we're gonna prepare you to be a prisoner of war. And let me tell you, I would not be a good prisoner of war.
How was SEER school like?
I was the youngest, most junior ranking out of my class of like 50 something. So I got hit for everybody that messed up. So like our senior officer, he would say something because it's 2 weeks long. The first week is just like in class training. They prepare you. The second week you're out in the field. So once we got captured, our senior officer, they asked him a question and he gave them an answer. Obviously it was the wrong answer because then they came in and they hit me. So then they asked him the same question. He gives the same answer. They hit me. This goes on like 5 times before somebody else was like, dude, give him some other answer. That's obviously not the right answer. So then because of that outburst, I got hit again.
Oh my God.
So I got hit a lot. There was this one really big black guy and he hit me hard. Like I saw stars. I was like, oh God, I'm going to pass out. But I didn't. I was fine. But
so when they paired you up, was it with like one senior ranking and one junior? Or how did that go?
When we're in the field, it was like that. Like you had a battle buddy.
Yeah.
So I had like some ensign that was, he was actually a Marine. What's your 01?
Administration. That was me. Administration.
So yeah, I had an 01 that was like my buddy.
Yeah.
And he was like brand newly married. And so he wouldn't cuddle. And I was like, bro, I don't care if you're married or you're not married. I don't really care about your marital status or your relationship status. I'm trying to not freeze to death tonight. So like, I'm going to scoot up on you and just like cuddle you.
Yeah.
So I cuddled him anyway. He didn't really like it, but his wife will get over it probably.
I'm sure she did.
I'm sure she'll be fine with it. Yeah. I didn't really care because I was like, I'm cold and we're going to cuddle. So yeah, and then once we were captured, because we had like 4 days where we weren't captured, and then we got captured.
Yeah.
And then we were all just together, and there was like one guy in charge of the whole unit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was a Marine. He was an 03, and he just kept messing up, and I kept getting hit for it.
Fucking grunts.
And he was a pilot.
Wow.
So we had one recon guy, He was a Marine. We had a lot of Marines in my SEER class.
Mhm.
And he was like awesome. He did all the night navigation. He was really good at it. I just like followed him around. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this guy knows. So
I'm just gonna follow him.
I'm gonna follow that guy. He won all the awards afterwards. They're like, you're the best navigator. And he was like, yeah, no shit.
Did they have some kind of decompression time after SEER school? Like,
Oh no,
they
I
didn't do
ran
that.
like right into the next thing.
Oh wow. Okay.
So actually right after SEER school, like the day I finished, I went to San Diego. I flew out of there because I had bought a car while I was in Pensacola. So I had to fly back to Florida. I had like 10 days of leave before I had to report to my next school. And so I flew back down to Florida. I got my car and I did a road trip up to Washington State, which is on the opposite end of the country. And they did tell you like, hey, you know, like don't make any big purchases. Don't do any like major life things because you just went through SEER school and it's pretty traumatic, and give yourself like probably a month to chill out before you do something crazy. Well, the next day I was on a 10-day road trip.
So you went all up and down the coast, or what did?
No, I just like stopped to see family along the way.
Okay.
I basically went straight there. I just stopped on the way to see my family.
Okay.
Ask me. I'm an open book. Ask me whatever you want.
I have a swig of my Jack Daniels again.
Yeah, I didn't bring wine because I was like, is wine allowed?
Yes, of course. We're Marines.
My husband drinks all the
hold
time. Yeah.
Yeah, go for
Great.
it. Go for it.
Pause. Turn
Yeah,
up.
pause.
My beer fridge is out here.
Oh, right on. What's this?
I got a Simply Spiked.
Oh. Ruthie's all about the White Claw and Truly right now.
Yeah, but they have like fake sugar. These are like you know, like the Simply Lemonade or Simply Limeade or whatever.
Yeah.
Real sugar too. So it has a lot more calories, but it's better for you, kind of.
So you're stationed in Woodby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's your time at the duty station like?
So when I first got there, I had to go to C school, which is just like more specialty training for my job. And it's on the same base. So we just went across the base and we did our C school. Unfortunately, I'm going to be really vulnerable, I guess. I don't know. I tell my story. While I was in C school, I was raped. So everything after that kind of went really downhill because like I didn't know how to deal with that. So like I was like fun loving and like crazy and doing whatever. I'm like, anything a guy can do, I can do up until that point. Because I was like running with everybody and I was just like doing the things and I was partying and I was having fun. And I was like, these are my friends. My friends would never let something bad happen to me until they just didn't give a fuck anymore. So that was really hard because like, I don't remember how long I was in C school. A lot of that kind of time, that first little bit in Whidbey Island, that kind of is a blur because like I was in C school. My friends invited me, or these guys that were in classes higher than me, like they were a little bit ahead of me in the pipeline. They had all gotten to Whidbey first. And so they had made some friends and they invited me out. I was the only air crewman in my class. We only had like 6 people in our class and 5 of them were ground pounders and I was the only air crewman. Well, all of my friends that were also air crewmen, they were in the other class and they invited me out. And I was like, oh my gosh, these guys, like, they've been here. They know people. They have friends. So I went out with them thinking like, air crew, we take care of ourselves. You know, we take care of each other. And then they didn't. Yeah, that made it kind of rough. I didn't report it right away. It took me about 6 months. I didn't actually report it until I started having panic attacks. Turns out if you have panic attacks, they don't let you fly. But I like just didn't tell anybody. Like kept flying under the radar. And I was like, I'm going to fly. Like, that's my job. They can't take this away from me. It's the last thing I have. Right. So like I held on to that because like I felt like at that time, everything that I was before had been wiped away, like had been like kind of washed away and was kind of like not who I was anymore. The only thing that I felt like I still had was being an air crewman. And so I was like, they can't take this away from me. I'm going to fly. So I did everything in my power to get qualified and to fly. And that's what I did. I got my wings really fast. I had to wait on a clearance. I needed my top secret clearance and they didn't start it when they were supposed to. Like they were supposed to start it when I was still in Pensacola and they hadn't. So I had to wait a little while for that. But once I got a clearance, like I was like, we're freaking going. Let's go. So I like kind of threw myself into my job, but I also like Washington State's really depressing. And like it didn't help that I was depressed, but like it's really depressing because it rains 9 months out of the year. And I got up there in March everything kind of happened at the beginning of the summer. So like the whole summer, like the nice part of like Washington, I didn't do anything. I just kind of like stayed in my room, and I didn't really want anybody to like hang out with me because I didn't trust anybody anymore. Like it was kind of a really tough time, I would say.
Were you the only woman in your class?
I was the only one in my class, but I wasn't with the people in my class. Like I was the only woman in my class. I was with the people in the other class, and there were 2 girls there. So one of the girls that was in the other class, she was a lesbian, or she is a lesbian. I don't know. She got married to another girl, and that girl was already in a command. We went over to her house or her apartment because she lived off base. And we're like, ooh, that's cool. Like we all live in the barracks. So we went over to her house one night and to like celebrate her marriage, I guess, because they just went down to the courthouse. And I wasn't drinking. I was 19 at the time. I wasn't drinking. I was like going to be responsible. I had a car. I was going to drive everybody home, make sure everybody gets home safe. That was my job. And they kept saying, oh, Dani, just start drinking. Just drink. Just drink. I was like, no, guys, like, it's fine. So everyone's been drinking. It's not really fun to be the only person not drinking. And I was like partying this whole time. Like I wanted to party. So they were like, look, we have the spare room. You can stay here. Nobody else is staying here. It's just you. You can stay here. Not a big deal. I was like, all right, cool. Let's freaking go. So I started drinking, but now I'm playing the catch-up game. So I started drinking a lot. And they were giving me tequila shots, and I was taking way more because it was in red Solo cups. So, I wasn't taking shots. I was taking like, I don't know, a lot of tequila. So eventually, like not long after I started drinking, I threw up and I passed out. And the guy that was supposed to be with me, he left to go fuck some other girl. So like I was completely vulnerable. And everybody else had either left or was passed out drunk. So like this guy like could do whatever he wanted. So that kind of wasn't ideal. And then when I did finally report it, and we went through the whole like unrestricted reporting, and so basically everyone knew what had happened. It ended up that while I was on my first deployment, because I went to Bahrain for my first deployment, while I was there, I was going like we had, I don't know, like the trial or like the pre-trial, and they kept telling me like it's kind of like a he said, she said type situation. You were only 19 and everybody else at that party said that there was no drinking because you were only 19 and you weren't supposed to be drinking, right? So everyone's like, no, nothing happened. Nobody was drinking. Nobody was drinking. There was no drinking. And because at one point in my drunken, like in and out state, this guy asked me, do I need a condom? And in my head, I was like, yes, because I thought like maybe he would think that I have an STD and he will leave me alone. I was drunk, passed out, and he woke me up to ask me if he needed a condom. And I said, yeah. Like, I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what was happening. So anyway, moral of the story, like it basically came down to they couldn't do anything about it. They were like, yeah, we can't prove that this actually happened to you.
So it was just a he said, she said. So they left it as that.
Yep. And then, but because I went unrestricted and because everyone in my command, everyone in my chain of command, and the freaking Navy underground, everybody's talking. So everyone, it felt like, I don't know if this is true, but it felt like everyone in the command knew what had happened and had decided that I cried wolf. So that made basically every other deployment I went on really hard because nobody wanted, like you had to have a Liberty buddy to go out in town, but nobody wanted to go out in town with me because what if I cried rape on them too?
I had a friend who was in the Navy. She actually joined when, I want to say the early 2000s. And I'm sad to say that she had a mental breakdown. I mean,
I got medically retired because of it.
Yeah. We don't even know where she's at right now, actually.
That's awful.
I kept in touch with her off and on because my best friend, they consider themselves cousins because their moms met when I believe they were like really young. So they grew up together. And when we went to school, they would always say that they were cousins. So I always thought that they were actual blood cousins. Later to find out that they weren't. They just called each other cousins. She went and she came out. She was stable for a long time. And it's funny too because my husband's buddy that was in the Navy, we actually set him up on a date. Remember?
Yeah.
After that, that's when her whole mental state started going downhill.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She doesn't know what happened to her. I don't know what happened to her. I think she saw her once. Well, we're based out of LA, Southern California. So she was in West LA for a while.
At the VA?
Yeah, remember?
Okay. Yeah.
She made a big old scene when she was at the VA. They called the cops on her. That's how mentally unstable she was.
Instead of helping her.
Yeah. She ended up, she needed a procedure done. So my friend took her and she was arguing with everybody at the hospital, at the VA. They called the cops on her. I believe they sedated her. They did the procedure. And she was actually also on disability.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an apartment with, they set up an apartment. She had her money. I went to go see her once. And then she stopped talking to my friend, accusing her that she was talking about her and she didn't want her in her life anymore. And she disappeared. She ended up from West LA to where she found her is in the city of like Victorville, Hesperia, which for us it's going up the 15, like about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Halfway
It's
to
half a
Vegas.
point. Yeah.
It's 2 hours away from Vegas. So it's going up like a mountain, right?
Yeah. The
It's
hill.
up the 15, the hill.
Yeah.
And found her in a parking lot in a hotel.
Jeez.
We have no idea. It's been what?
Years. It's been a long time.
It was before COVID.
Yeah.
So at least 5 years we haven't heard from her. We don't even know what happened to her.
It's awful.
And I mean,
honestly, like, she's probably more triggered by going to the VA. Like, I know, like, I didn't realize until I got out of the Navy how triggered I was by uniforms. Yeah.
and when I mean, I'm assuming that's what happened. Because she did have a notebook and she did write something about
Yeah, I remember seeing
her,
that notebook.
remember?
Yeah.
She had wrote something about her commander and sergeant. I don't know what she put, but she was like, you betrayed me when I put all my trust in you, stuff like that. But we really don't know exactly what happened to her. She never wanted to talk.
Yeah. It was really hard to decipher that notebook. It was like
Yeah.
what you see like in the movies where it's just a bunch of talking codes and it's just all over the place. And it was kind of a trip to see that. Yeah. I couldn't make sense of the book.
And I asked,
awful.
yeah, because she gave it to me and I told her, I go, well, maybe my husband knows. I mean, we don't know any military jargon. So maybe my husband would be able to decipher it, but he wasn't even able to understand what she was writing. It was really sad. And that was like one of my questions. I don't know if you follow her, but she's also true crime, the military murders.
No, but I'm going to look into it.
Yeah. Her name is Margot, and I believe she was also in the Navy or maybe in the Air Force. And she talks about all the kind of military murders or, anything related to the military and stuff like that. So she talks about this. She talks about how so many women have gone through all this trauma and how, sometimes somebody gets, raped and they're forced to still work with these people because it's a lot of he said, she said. And they don't do anything about it.
They give you the opportunity to leave your command. They give you the opportunity to go and go somewhere else. But the problem with that is that it's always the woman that has to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're accusing this guy of rape. Would you like us to make him go to another command? Which the other command is off that, or I mean, ideally it would not be on that same base anymore. But it's always the woman. Or it's the person, it's the accuser, right? So if it was a man being like, hey, I was raped, then he would have that same option. But it's always the accuser that has to drop everything and leave. In my situation, there was nowhere for me to go. I was on EP3s The only EP3 command in the Navy was at Whidbey Island. There's only one, and it was there. Like, if I left, like, there was nowhere for me to go, nowhere for me to do my job. Like, I would have to change jobs. For her, it could be like a number of things. Going to the VA could have been really triggering for her because, like, seeing people in uniform or, like, feeling like the military was supposed to protect you. I felt that same way. Like, the military was supposed to protect me. All these people that were supposed to do something for me. And they told me on so much, like, how many times were we trained? Every single Friday, it felt like they set us down. They're like, don't rape people and don't get too drunk. Don't drive. Don't kill anybody. You're like, all right, cool. Seems simple enough.
Yeah. And
But it's not. Unfortunately, I think I know one person that got out of the Navy unscathed. One woman.
Wow.
And I know a lot. I have a whole network of women that I am friends with that are veterans. And I think I know one, maybe. And I think that the only reason I'm counting her is because I haven't actually talked to her about it.
She never said she did, but just the way everything happened and her mental state just, and I know she was in the same general area where you were. She was up in Washington, and she was, where else was she stationed? Because I remember her saying the same thing, that she drove her car from the East Coast to the West Coast at one point.
She could have been in Norfolk. That's a pretty common place for people to be. And there's a million bases, right? Like, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. But so. Yeah. And that's one of the scariest things for, like, a woman to join the military just because of that.
Yeah. It's changed my perspective. I was asked one time, I have small kids, and they said, would you let your kids join the military? And I said, yes, absolutely. I have two boys. They can absolutely join the military. Now ask me, if I had a girl, would I let her join the military? Because the answer is fuck no. Absolutely not. They murder girls and then they hide it. They cover it up. They murder these people.
Yeah.
And they cover it up. They do whatever. They're like play toys.
I wish the military did more, because, I mean, if men and women are willing to give up their life for this country, why aren't they being protected?
It's a good old boys club still. I don't know. I don't actually have the answer to that. I wish I did, because it's a tough. I'm very open about my story because I want people to know that this is happening. And I think that was, like, at one point, like something that flipped in my brain, and I was like, if I don't tell my story, nobody's going to. Like, if I don't tell the world that this is happening, nobody's going to tell the world. Like, nobody's going to know, because people aren't speaking out and people are sweeping it under the rug. And not to say that other women don't tell their stories, but, like, when I started podcasting, like, when I started thinking about, like, having a podcast, I was like, I'm going to have a podcast about military sexual assault. And then I was like, almost immediately, nobody's going to listen to that. Like, I can't have a podcast like that. But, like, I wanted to, like, bring awareness, like, this is happening and nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody cares. I've heard from Margot and listening to Military Murders, I've heard of all the cover-ups of all the military men and women overseas that, supposedly committed suicide. And when the family sees the bodies, they're like, how did my son or my daughter commit suicide? It's impossible.
Then they cover it up. Like, it's such a cover up. It's such a scapegoat. They're like, oh, suicide, right? And don't get me wrong. I know that a lot of veterans are committing suicide. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, because I know that's a real statistic. And honestly, it's a little low. But, like, the amount of suicide that's happening to active duty members is pretty high. The amount of murder that's happening that they're portraying as suicide is outrageous.
Or they're just, instead of saying suicide because they don't find the bodies, they went
kind of like a catch-all.
MIA.
Yeah, MIA. Just like in Vanessa Guillen's case. And how many, I think it was by looking for her, they found 2 other, and it was men that were found murdered.
4. I thought they found 4 other bodies.
Well, I know there was one that they ended up, when they were looking for her, they dug up a body and they thought it was her. They found a skeleton, but it wasn't hers. It was a kid that went MIA maybe a couple of months before she did.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And then there was another one that supposedly he committed suicide, maybe a couple of miles or the next town over in his car, I think.
Yeah.
Ever since that, that's why they renamed the military base, because of the bad reputation.
It's really hard.
You can't run away from history. It's bullshit that they cover up the names like that.
Well, they cover up
Anyways,
everything. They cover up everything.
Yeah.
Like time and time again, they cover up everything.
Yeah.
Have you done an episode about Vanessa Guillen yet?
No. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. I don't know. I've done some really tough ones. I did Pizzagate and that made me cry. I did Madeline McCann, that made me cry. The Red Shoe Club.
Yeah, the Madeline McCain one got me. Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a couple, and like I cry anytime it has to do with like not when I'm doing the episode, but like privately when I'm doing the research.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done Vanessa Guillen yet. I don't know if I'm like brave enough to. I did Pat Tillman. I don't know if I'm ready to tackle Vanessa Guillen. I don't know. It makes things a little tricky, you know? Like,
yeah. I mean, you lived through it.
Yeah.
It's harder.
I think the part, like, I went through a lot. I've been through a lot of therapy. So, like, I feel like I'm better. I don't know, like, I say that with like very loose terms. Like, I don't think that you're ever like 100% better. But like, I'm okay talking about it now. Like, I can share it. I'm okay. Like, I don't break down and cry every time I think about it anymore. Like, I had PTSD, which is why they medically retired me out of the military eventually. But I think the thing that really sucks is that it overshadowed the rest of my military career. Like, things that could have been really fun and really cool, they weren't anymore. Because, like, again, like, I was the girl that cried wolf, so now nobody wants to hang out with me. We went to Greece on deployment, and I had one friend.
How many years in did this happen?
One.
Yeah, she was 19. Yeah, you had just barely
joined
started.
the Navy. Yeah, I joined the Navy June 23rd, 2013, and this happened over Memorial Day weekend of 2014.
Oh my God. So that had set the tone for the rest of your military career.
Yeah, I wasn't even out of school yet. Like, I hadn't even gone to my squadron yet.
Shit.
I didn't report it right away. Like, I waited 6 months, and so like I was in my squadron by the time I did report it. So that made it really challenging because, like, I'm brand new. This happened to me 6 months ago. I have no evidence. I didn't go to the hospital. I don't even know this guy's last name.
Yeah, but he was a sailor too.
He was a sailor. He was in a different command. But the problem that really was like the hard thing is that the guy that was supposed to be with me that night, he was in my command. So, and like, he was the one that was like spreading the rumor. Like, she made it up. She was just like drunk and passed out. Like, she made it up. And so I was like, okay, cool.
With my husband and his friends, like, I heard the podcast more than once. Helping them.
More than she cares to admit.
Yes. I've heard it a lot. They see each other more as brothers. So, like, how can a brother stab you in the back? I mean, that's what it's a family.
But it was never a family for us. As females, we were never part of that. That's not true. I think some females are considered, like, in certain areas, like certain units maybe, but like, I never felt like that. I never felt like anybody actually cared about me.
So as a woman, you're the, I don't know, the little cousin that wants to hang out with
Right.
the older kids, with the older cousins. And you're just more of a bother than.
It's easier to just like throw me to the wayside. And even other females would do that because the females, like, they would want to hang out with, I mean, there's more guys than there are girls. So the females are trying to hang out with the guys because there's not that many people to hang out with. So of course, like, they're not going to hang out with me because there's other people that they could potentially hang out with and there's more of them. And typically, like, in large groups, they would invite me. But like, the problem was, and like, looking back on this, it's funny to me now, but like, I know at the time it was just a trauma response. I was very, very immature. So like, I was very emotional. I like had really high highs and really low lows. I didn't realize that was all trauma and that like I was having this like basically this like constant trauma response to just being around military members. Like, I didn't know that at the time. So like everybody that like they think about me in my military aspect, or anybody that was like my friend in the military, they're like, yeah, she was kind of like a little crazy. Well, like I was a little crazy. I was a little wild. I don't know, like I would get very emotional about things. So like, and I am already like a passionate person. Like I speak with a lot of emotion in my voice, and that's never going to go away. But like something would happen and I would like have a like almost like over response to it. And then they'd be like, that's Dani just being, or that's Mercy just being crazy again. But like looking back now, that was all just a trauma response because I was trying to protect myself from whatever might happen again.
It's sad that the other women wouldn't surround you and protect you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why would they do that? That would involve people taking responsibility for what happened to me.
Yeah. Well, they didn't want to take responsibility that they were giving a minor alcohol in the first place, because then they were all going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Let one take the fall rather than them all accepting the responsibility.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't know. It was kind of shitty. I mean, good things happen still in the Navy. Like I have good memories. I have some pictures. Like I have good memories, but when I look back at it, it's kind of all like overshadowed with this one thing because like my military career ended because of this.
This is a tough transition. So forgive me. So you said your first deployment was in Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was hot. I was only there for 3 months. Okay. It was really hot. We were there from like June to September. So we were there during Ramadan. We lived in like Connex boxes, but I got my own room in a Connex box. So that was nice. I had AC and I had Wi-Fi.
Oh shoot.
Like it was nice, but it was, so that deployment was like really weird. So I lived in a Connex box. Our bathroom was in a different Connex box. We had to like walk a ways too. Whatever, not a big deal. The galley was a ways. You had to walk to anything. Fine, whatever. We were flying. Basically, whenever we weren't flying, we had the day off. And I think it kind of varies. Like some deployments or some places that we would go, we only had to fly 12 missions. And some places we had to fly 15 missions. And so a month. And so I can't remember how much I was flying in Bahrain, but I knew like that was my trainee debt too. So like I was a trainee. I had to finish my PQS. I had to, do all like the grunt work because I was a trainee. But I wasn't the only trainee. There was another trainee too. And so luckily for me, there was a trainee or there was a trainer. There was somebody else that could do my job because typically on a flight, like we have 24 people that fly on our planes. There's only one in-flight technician. Like there's other people, like there's pilots and there's flight engineers, there's operators, there's all these people, but there's only one flight engineer and you can't, in-flight technician, and you can't fly, or we couldn't fly. The squadron just sundown in March. So they couldn't fly without an IFT unless they got like specific permission from the skipper. So we were like required to fly. But during this deployment, not only was like I was trying to deal with my lawyer back home who was in a different time zone, 10 hours behind me, and they were trying to like go through this whole like reporting system, like basically telling me like, yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere because it's a he said, she said situation. So I'm dealing with that at home. I had met my husband prior to this, so him and I were still dating at the time. This one guy, because we shared the base with like I think Marines and Army. I was at the gym one day and some Army guy like decided he liked me and then like stalked me around the base. So that was freaking weird. So that was like triggering. Now I've got this case going on. That's triggering. And then I started to have a panic attack in flight. But I knew that if I told them that I was having a panic attack in flight, that they would ground me. So I didn't tell anybody. I just like hid in the back. And then the next day, like we landed, whatever, I like just went back to my room and pretended like nothing happened, even though something had happened. So I was freaking out. The next day, my parents' house burned down.
Oh my God.
So burned completely down to the ground. So like it was like thing on top of thing on top of thing. And it just like wasn't adding up to be like a good situation. So that deployment ended. Thank God. I was only there for 3 months, but it was a lot happening in 3 months. And it just like wasn't a good deployment. Oh, it was probably one of the better ones. Actually, both times I went to Bahrain, it was like Like the people that I was there with, like my crew, they were good. But again, I was having these like weird emotional outbursts. And so like my LPO, he didn't understand why I would like say certain things. Like I made your mom jokes all the time and he like freaked out at me one time. Or like I had another guy, he's like, why are you always bowing up on people? Because like I kept bowing up and like, what? You want some? And he's like, why are you always doing that? Like, what's up? I didn't realize till like years later, like I was literally trying to like make myself bigger so they wouldn't like come at me. I was like, it was just a bunch of coping mechanisms I didn't realize that I was doing because I didn't realize that I was traumatized. I didn't realize I had PTSD. I thought I had nightmares every night because that's what people do. I didn't realize what was happening. So, and I didn't know what the panic attacks were. I know they were freaking me out. I thought I was losing my mind. I didn't really know what to do with them. That one was rough. That was rough. Oh yeah, I went to Japan after that. That was my first qualified det. And that one worked out really nicely because in Japan we had two planes, and so we would like flip on and off with like the other crew. So like they would fly 15 missions and we would fly 15 missions, except for when the guy that was supposed to be with me that night, like the guy that like left me to go like fuck some other girl, he was on the other crew. But I was like having like incredibly like strong trauma response to him. And I knew that like I didn't want to be around him. So at one point, one of the flights, they're like, hey, we're just going to like throw a couple of the other like the other people from the other flight onto this crew. And I was like, oh, I'm not flying. And they're like, Mercy, you can't just not fly. I'm like, yeah, I know. I would rather drop my wings than fly today. And they're like, okay, let's go have a private conversation in a private room because that's a pretty dramatic statement. Because like being an air crewman, it's voluntary. Like, but once you drop your wings, you're done. Like, and your career's done. So for me to tell them like I would rather basically like quit the Navy right now, not quit the Navy, but quit my job, than to fly on this flight today. And these guys, I don't know, they must have been new to the command. I don't know. They didn't know what had happened. And so they're like, okay, like that's a pretty aggressive statement. So then they took me into a room and they're like, you can't just say shit like that. Like they were basically like gaslighting me. And I was like, okay, well, I was raped and he was supposed to be there and he was supposed to protect me and he didn't. And I can't trust that he has my back and I will not fly with him. And after that, like everyone kind of shut up because like basically they were like hounding me. It was like 2 or 3 people. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3. And they were like, blah, 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 like shooting, like spitfiring at me. Like, fuck you. You can't do shit like that. You can't just like make dramatic statements because like personality differences, blah, blah, blah. They thought I was just being dramatic. And then I shut them up and they were like, oh. And I was like, don't make fucking assumptions. Personality differences. I don't like that guy and I fly with him all the fucking time. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be stuck in a tube up in the air for 12 hours with somebody.
Was that the first time that you had to do that with a person?
That was kind of, yeah.
Was there anybody else that triggered you just like he did?
Not as aggressively as he did, no. I mean, yes, the guy that did it, but he was in a different squadron, so I didn't run into him just like willy-nilly like.
But you did run into him.
I did run into him, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Because my friends, like, there was this lake where we'd go cliff jumping, and they had, after maybe a month after this had all happened, and they all knew, like, I had told them basically the next day, because like I had to call one of my friends that I knew was on duty, so he wasn't drinking and he left the party early. I called him to come get me because like I was like, I'm too drunk and I can't drive and I need to get the fuck out of here. You need to come get me right now. And he didn't get there fast enough, so I got in my car and I drove anyway. And then we met at like a parking lot and he drove me back to the barracks and back on base. But so I told all of my friends because like I didn't know what was happening. I know that this happened to me and I didn't know where everybody was and I was drunk and I was out of my mind. And so the next day I was like, this is what happened. Like, help me. What am I supposed to do? And they were all like, we don't want to touch that. That's a little dramatic, Dani. Don't you think you're being a little dramatic? And so I got that a lot. And so they all had known, and then they convinced me at some point. I don't know why. Like, I still thought this guy had my best interest at heart for like months after this happened. The guy that was supposed to be with me, he was like, hey, do you want to go cliff jumping with us today? And I like kept trying to pretend like life was normal and that I could just go back to like being my normal self. So I went with them. I drove him because he didn't have a car I drove him. We met our other friends, all the people that were at this party. We all met them at the lake, and we were all going to go cliff jumping. But from where you park to where you jump, probably like a 5-minute walk. We get there, and my other friends had brought this guy.
Wow.
And I freaked out, and I was like, I'm fucking leaving. And they're like, you can't just leave like that. You're being crazy. Like, okay, did you not hear me when I told you what happened? Like, did nobody listen to me when I said that? But no, they didn't. But still, like, I was making it up. Of course, like, how could that have happened? He said it didn't. How convenient.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Well, in NCIS, after I reported it, they wanted me to sit down with him and have a conversation and basically try to get him to incriminate himself. And the whole time he just gaslit me. But I did. I mean, I went and sat down with him. I don't know what I was thinking this whole time. Like, I went and sat down with him. I tried to get him to tell me, because I was wearing a wire, tried to get him to tell me like what he did. And of course he was like, nothing happened. So I was like, okay.
It's almost as if he knew you were bugged.
Yeah. Well, and then he went to NCIS and he's like, I recorded the whole conversation. Here you go.
This motherfucker.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he had the kind of like the same plan.
Yeah.
Getting you on tape.
Because I think he was trying to get me to say that like I made it up. But my story hasn't changed. I don't care. And I'll tell the whole world. Because guess what? My sister's friend, so my sister had joined the Navy at this point. She was in Lemoore, California. But she had some friends that she went through A school with, and they came up to Whidbey Island. And so one of her friends was actually in the squadron with this guy.
Oh shit.
And she calls me one day. She doesn't realize like how easily triggered I was at this point. I'm much better now, but at the time, she said, "You know that guy?" I said, "How could I forget?" And she said, "Well, I just talked to my friend, and he told me that they were all out, and he was being sexually aggressive towards another girl." And I broke down. I started hyperventilating. I couldn't freaking breathe. And she's like, "Oh, sorry. Like, I didn't mean to I don't know. Like, I didn't mean to basically trigger you." And I was like, "No, the whole reason I went through all the hell I went through reporting this guy is because I didn't want him to do this to somebody else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have reported him. Like, it was already over. I knew nothing was going to happen, but I wanted to try to stop him. And now he's doing it again. He's going to do it again." And he did. He did it again.
Wow.
And he got an ARI too at some point.
What's that?
Alcohol-related incident.
Oh.
I don't know what it was for, but I know at least one other person accused him of sexually assaulting them, and he got an ARI. He was on restriction in the same barracks that I was in.
Jeez.
And so finally I talked to somebody and I was like, I need to get out of these barracks. Like, he's in these barracks. And so they got me BAH so I could run and live out in town.
So he's become a predator.
Yeah.
He's a predator. I'm sure he did it more than one time before even her.
My situation proved that he could get away with it. But he was like, the whole thing was super shady because like he waited. It was like he was stalking his prey. Like, he waited until everybody was drunk or passed out or gone. And then like he just sat in the living room and he just waited there. Like, I passed out. Oops, sorry. I passed out. Everybody else was gone. Like, everybody that was supposed to be there was like, they had all left, or they were drunk. They passed out. And that's when he made his move. Sober enough to understand what he was doing. Because why else would you have waited like that?
Well, to me, it sounds like he's did it before you.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
And there's no evidence of that, but like,
because just the way,
or nobody that reported it, at least.
Just the way he waited until she was passed out in a room.
Yeah, he already had a system.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already knew what to do. Yeah, pretty rough. But anyway,
it's just, I mean, the Navy's so big for you to always, well, not always, but run into them is.
Whidbey Island is really small.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they gave me the option. They gave me the option to leave. They gave me, like, because they give everybody the option to basically give up your life in the Navy, like give up everything that you've worked for and go somewhere else because you're accusing somebody. And so like they gave me that option and I said, no, first of all, there's nowhere else for me to go. Secondly, this is the only thing I have left. The only thing I have left is this flying. That's the only thing. Like I can't go anywhere else. Like, I can't do anything else. This is the only thing I have left, like, of who I was.
Mm-hmm. That was your identity.
Yeah, and I didn't know who I was outside of like flying and outside of being an AWV because everything else had been stripped away. So I was like, okay, well, like if I'm gonna do this, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't think it made me any better at my job. Actually, I think I was pretty shitty IFT, in fact, because I didn't have the capacity to be good at it
because of everything you had gone through.
Yeah. After Japan, I went to Greece. Came home for a little while. Went out to Greece. That was fun. I had a friend out there. She had to come home early because her grandpa died, and then I had another friend who was a male, but I had just gotten married like 2 months before I went to Greece, and so everyone kept saying like, perception is reality. You keep hanging out with this guy, like people think rumors are going around, and I'm like, okay, none of you want to hang out with me. Nobody else will hang out with me. He's the only person that's treated me with like an ounce of respect at all in years of being in the squadron. So him and I were good friends. We hung out, but I did not cheat on my husband with that man. I want to clear the air here.
How long was your enlistment for? Like total?
5 years.
It was a 5 years. So you did right out your entire
a year early.
Okay. Yeah, it was 6 and 5. Okay.
After I went to Greece, I went to Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got back from Bahrain, and I can't actually remember right now. It's crazy that I can't remember what happened. But basically, like I went to medical at some point, and they were like, "Oh, because in my medical record, they had known that I was having panic attacks." So I went to medical. I had like almost like a wink with my flight doc, and I was like, "Hey, man, like I'm good, and I'll keep updating you on my status if you keep me flying." And he was like, "Deal." He's like, as long as you tell me the truth, you tell me what's actually happening, I will keep you flying. I will not ground you. I will not down you. You can keep flying. I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks. Well, he went to a different squadron and I had a new flight doc. I, being dumb and young, I thought that maybe he had like written down in my medical record, like, hey, this is what's going on with her, but it's good. Like everything's good. We're going to let her keep flying. Even though technically it's a grounder or a downer, it's just a downer. To be like to have panic attacks, we're gonna let her keep flying because she says that she's got it under control and she's got a way to control it. She says she's good, so we're gonna let her keep flying. I thought that was in my medical record. Turns out it was not. So when I went in for my flight physical, I talked to this new doc and I was like, hey, yeah, so I'm still having panic attacks, but we're good. Like I've only had them on the ground. I've never had them in flight. Like I'm feeling good about it. I feel like I'm having less and I'm getting them under control more. And he was like, excuse me? What did you just say? And I was like,
shit.
Fuck. Yeah, here we go. So then I had to explain the whole situation again, because why not just explain it to everybody? So I did. I re-explained it, and he was like, okay, you need to go to mental health. And I was like, okay, so that sucks. So they downed me. No, he grounded me. So if you're down, it's like when you're sick, like, you're temporarily like unable to fly, you're down. When you're grounded,
that's it.
You're done. Game over. And he grounded me, and you would have thought that I like just lost my freaking life. Like my husband just died or something. Like I was so distraught because like that was all I had left. Since everything had happened, I had flying and I had met my husband, I had dated him and I married him. Like, and I warned him. I was like, you don't want to date me because I'm crazy. Because I was actually crazy at the time. He dated me and married me. That man's crazy. You think I'm crazy? He's way crazier.
And she's looking at me.
He thinks the same thing of me.
Yeah. I don't know why. He loves me still, and he's like such a rock. But so like I didn't really have anything else outside of that. So I was like losing my mind. So I went back to my squadron because like your flight physical's over in the middle of the day. You have to go back to work. So I go back to work and I tell my LPO or whoever is my supervisor, I'm like, hey, I'm grounded. And he was like, okay, no, seriously, go give your upchit to operations and like, let's go. And I was like, no, you're not listening to me. I'm like weeping. He's like, you're actually grounded. I said, yeah, I'm actually grounded and I have to go to mental health. And he was like, that sucks. And they just expected me to keep working. And I was like, I'm going home. I can't be here anymore. I'm just going to go home. And I just like left. I just left. And I think I came back the next day. But like after that, after they grounded me, I refused to go back out to the plane. Like I was working in like the ground pounder, like the maintenance shop. I refused to go back out to the plane after that. I was like, if I can't fly on it, I don't want to work on it. Like seeing that plane right now makes me super, super sad. So I just like would come and I would sit in the shop. I was there. And then I would leave like at lunchtime. I'd go to lunch, never come back. So then I went to mental health and she was like, okay, tell me what's going on. So I go through the whole thing again, blah, 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 all this stuff. And she was like, well, put up your fingers. She's like, put up a finger for every yes and don't put up a finger for every no. I was like, okay. So she starts asking me these questions, you know, like out of the mental health handbook, whatever it's called, the DS-12 or whatever. I don't know, whatever it's called. So she starts asking me these questions. I was like, yes, yes, yes. I start putting up my fingers. She's like, how many fingers you got? And I was like, I don't know, like 9. And she was like, okay, well, let me read you what like this many to this many means. And she read it to me and I was like, I can't have PTSD. I didn't see combat. I can't have a traumatic disorder. I'm not traumatized. I'm fine. Right. I'm good. Like, look, I can function. Look, I'm good. I can dance a little dance. I'm fine. So after that, I basically checked out mentally. I had a chief and he was like the best chief ever. And he came up to me and he said, Dani, I know what you're going through is like probably the worst thing in your life right now. But let me tell you what can happen here. He's like, they're going to give you options. Cause like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew that now I have a diagnosis. So he's like, they're going to give you some options. They're going to give you 3 options. Number 1, you can finish out your enlistment and then you can just separate and go about your day. Number 2, you can cross rate and you can, you know, do whatever you want. You can now become a different job. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. I signed up to be a flyer. If I'm not a flyer, I don't want to be in the Navy anymore. He's like, okay, you could get medically discharged. And I was like, but I'm not hurt. He's like, yes, you are. He's like, the Navy did this to you. He's like, you can be medically discharged if you want. I know that sounds really rough. He's like, go home and think about it and come back. I was like, okay. I didn't like that idea at the time because I felt like I wasn't broken, like nothing was wrong with me. Why can't I finish what I started? I can't even finish my enlistment. Like, why can't I finish what I started? But I went to my mental health provider, my therapist, and I was like, okay, like, how do I get medically discharged? She's like, well, there's 2 options here and I'll put in for it. You will either get a medical separation or medical retirement. And the difference with that is like, I don't know about any other branch. I know in the Navy, when you go through a medical discharge, you go to a med board and they have to find you a certain percentage disabled like the VA would. The VA also gives you a disability rating, but the Navy has to give you a disability rating. The Navy's disability rating has to be high, like greater than 20% for you to get a retirement. Otherwise, if it's like 20% or less, like you can still be separated. You'll just get a severance package instead. So we submit all the paperwork, we submit everything. And with a medical discharge, you get your VA, like your disability, the next month. So I got out in July, August 1, I got my disability. Like I don't have to wait until I get out and then submit everything because I did it while I was going through my med board. So when I got all my stuff back, the Navy had decided I was 50% disabled. The VA had decided I was 70% disabled. And since then it's gone up to 100%. Yeah. Then I was out. It took a lot longer than that. That was like a summed up version. Took like a year to get out.
And I don't mean to make any light of it, but this is fucking heavy.
It's heavy. Yeah. Sorry, I should have warned you.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
We had an Iraq war veteran that got blown up, and I did a pre-interview with him, and she saw that I had it took me out of place for about a week.
It's hard.
It's a trip that you mentioned about PTSD, and your interpretation of it was like I wasn't in combat.
I wasn't hurt. Well, and I wasn't even like beat up. Like you know how some people get raped and they get like beaten? I had a friend. They literally broke her back.
Wow.
When her situation happened, her back was broken and her jaw was broken. She was broken. And I was like, yeah, she's broken. I'm fine. I didn't even come out with a bruise. That's fine. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like,
oh no.
But you were. I mean,
I was.
just because you're not physically, I think mentally, no matter, even with domestic abuse, when you have that spouse or the significant other, putting things in your head, making you feel like you're an inch tall and telling you you don't matter. That's something you can't take out of your head. It's in your head.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially seeing the other person and they're living their life. They're doing the things
fine.
they're doing the things that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not getting to do them because you're the black sheep, because you were the one who, that it didn't happen to them, even though it did, and nobody wants to believe you.
Yeah. I still, like, to this day, I don't know how many people believe me or how many people are like, oh, yeah, that one time that one girl cried rape, like, I don't know if that necessarily matters anymore. I've been through a lot of therapy.
I think it matters to the women that it's happened to.
I think it does. I think that's why, like I said, like, why I keep saying, like, or telling my story, which is really hard to hear. And it was really, really hard to live. I think that it's more important that somebody right now is not okay. Does that make sense? Like, somebody right now is going through what I was going through then. And, like, yes, I'm okay now, but she needs that help. Like, she needs somebody to be like, hey, by the way, this is happening and nobody's paying attention to her. And she needs help because she might kill herself. Yeah. Because I would have killed myself.
I mean, being isolated. Nobody believing you. Living it, and people turning their backs to you and actually inviting you to the same place where that person is going to be there and thinking that it's okay.
Well, why would it not be okay? It didn't actually happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, they honestly didn't understand. And they don't understand still. To this day, like, they still don't understand. And my therapist when I was in the Navy, have you ever seen the movie The Shack?
No, I don't remember that movie.
It's this story. It's really sad. It's a story about this guy and his daughter dies, and it's in a brutal way. And then this whole movie is about him trying to forgive her. And my therapist is like, you need to go home. You need to watch this movie. And he finds God at the end of it. And I watched it, and I wanted to, like, I don't know. I was like, how dare you tell me to watch this movie? Because it's about forgiveness, and it's about, like, it's not finding forgiveness, like, you forgiving them is not letting them off the hook, but like clearing yourself, like getting that gorilla off you. And at the time, I definitely couldn't have done that. But she kept saying, like, you just, like, watch this movie and then you'll understand. And I watched the movie and I was like, how dare you tell me that I need to forgive him for what he did to me, what he took from me, my life, everything that I knew. I'm not who I was then. I lost all my friends. And for years after the Navy, I was like, I don't understand why nobody talks to me anymore. I get it now. Because I was so fucked up back then. Like, I mean, I'm still a little fucked up now, but, like, I was so bad. Like, people didn't want to be around me. I wasn't their friend. They were mine. I forgave them eventually. I watched that movie a couple times before and cried my eyes out every time before I, like, realized that it's not really about him and that God's going to have to deal with that. He's going to have to make right with God. And all I can do is pray and hope that God helps me through it.
Well, hopefully your story, and it's not a hope, I'm sure it's going to help somebody out there.
It will. It will. Somebody will be listening just at that right time, and yeah.
Well, if they need a partner, somebody to walk through it with them, you can reach out. I'm not scared of it. It's a fight. You got to fight. So
yeah,
I fought it. But yeah, I didn't think that, I don't know. People ask me, like, how I got out of the Navy, and I tell them, oh, I got medically retired for PTSD. And typically, like, we can leave it at that because everyone just assumes, like, I probably saw something crazy. And I let them believe that. Like, that's easier for them to believe than for them to believe my story. Or for them to hear my story. I think that makes it, like, I don't know, people, like, again, like, it's almost like gaslighting. Like you can't get PTSD from that. Well, I don't know. They kicked me out of the Navy for it. So it turns out you can.
And you're living proof.
Should a lot. Like, I don't have time to I don't like lie and sugarcoat things. Like, that's why I'm so blunt. And like, I ask questions like the question I ask, because like, I don't know, like I don't have a filter. Like, I just say what it is, And so the norm is what it is.
And you have to sometimes, because if you sugarcoat it, sometimes even like I've had people that I've spoken to, and they kind of they're trying to be serious, but then they're like, "Oh, I'm just kidding.
As a passive aggressive.
As a passive aggressive, yeah. And
Yeah,
sometimes you don't understand, you don't get it. Are you actually asking me a question you really want to know, or don't you want to know?
I'll ask questions, but then I also don't get mad when people are like, I don't like. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, I asked a question that crossed the line. That's okay to tell me that you don't want to answer it.
Yeah.
I don't care. You won't offend me. I asked a very in-depth question, and normally I do, because I'm kind of a lot.
Well, that's your job too. I mean, you are a podcaster, so you're there to ask all the questions.
I ask a lot of too in-depth questions. I'm like, well, what about your childhood led you here? Like,
I know, right?
I'm just kidding. I don't ask that.
Dani Mercy's story reminds us that some battles are fought long after service ends, and not all scars are visible. In this episode, she opened the door to some of the darkest parts of her past. We thank her for her courage, her voice, and her trust in sharing it with us. Her journey isn't over yet. Join us next time as we conclude Dani's story in episode 29. Until then, stay grounded, stay resilient, and as always, stay the course. Thank you for listening to the Chat 62 podcast, Semper Fi.
Brothers and sisters at arms, are you struggling with your mental health? You are not alone. There is help available. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is there for you. Call or text 988 to connect with a trained crisis counselor 24/7. Do not hesitate to reach out for support. You are strong. You are loved. Semper Fi.